Tonight, we want to examine the Bawumia effect, not only within the MPP, but outside the MPP, because certainly it's not just about Bawumia partnering Nana to win the election. It's about his impact within the MPP as well. So with me, to help us resolve the positiveness of that choice in terms of MPP and the publics, Mustafa Hamid. He's the spokesperson for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. But before Mustafa speaks to it, I think it's important that we make the point that yesterday, Deputy Director of Communications, John Bwedu, released his Vigilante Against Propaganda Statement 2, which dealt drastically with the so-called unprecedented infrastructure achievements churned out by Fifi. I didn't publish the gold scandal minister. Mustafa, setting the records straight. Which records?
Well, good evening to your viewers.
Yes.
Really, it occurs to me that the NDC hasn't gotten used to the fact that it is now in government. Because this whole concept of setting the record straight when you are in government seems to me like a misnomer. Why? Because MPP was in power, okay, in 2008, and saying that it had done all the things that it said it did. National Youth Employment Program, health insurance, road infrastructure, everything, educational infrastructure and so on.
Yeah.
And you were seeking to tell the Ghanaian people that these records were not quite straight. Is that okay? It was okay within your what as an opposition party to say so. Now you are in government. You are supposed to be churning the records.
Creating the records.
Yes, because the taxpayers' money is with you. It's no longer with the NPP.
That's right.
So you are supposed to be telling us what you've used the 35 billion Ghana cedis that you have gotten in 3 years for. So that if it is not accurate, we then would now set the record straight. But you are in government, first of all, you don't have any record to show for 35 billion cedis spent in 3 years. And then you are setting records. Which records are they setting? Do you get the point?
Exactly.
So the whole concept is a misnomer, and it occurs to me as if the NDC just enjoys the propaganda mode. And that is why it is I allowed John Bwedu and the young boys who have decided that they will set up this vigilante against propaganda and lies. Because Bob Marley says that, yes, you can fool the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all of the people
all of the time.
And it is about time that we told the NDC that they can't continue to fool the Ghanaian people. So it is in the context of this that we have this vigilante against propaganda and lies. So we can help to expose them for what they are. That these are people, because President Kufuor, in 8 years, got hold of 34 billion Ghana cedis. That's how much money flowed for the 8 years that President Kufuor was in government. Okay. And then the things that he did with the 34 billion are palpable. They are things that you can see and feel and
built
touch.
A solid foundation for this economy.
The infrastructure of this country, unprecedented. Road infrastructure was a little over 38,000 kilometers of road by the time we came into government in 2000. By the time we were exiting, we had taken that matter to 67,000 kilometers of road infrastructure. Those are the solid, palpable things that I'm talking about. Cocoa production was about 300,000 tons. We took it to 750,000 tons.
And it is on the foundation of that it's rolling.
Absolutely. When in 2000, in Sekendi, when President Kufuor was campaigning, this was about 7th July 2000 in Sekendi, he told the people of the Western region, he said, when I become president, I will discover oil for this country. When he was speaking, he was not a prophet, he was not a soothsayer. It just showed a leadership with vision, a leadership with focus, that when you are coming into government, you ought to come with set programs. and set targets and work according to those set programs and set targets. Do you get the point? You know, what the NDC is doing is like the analogy of the pious Muslim who left his donkey untied and went into the room and was praying all day and asking God to protect him and all his property. When he came, the donkey was gone. And he was hitting and cursing the Almighty Allah. And somebody looked at him and said, please, yes, pray to the Almighty Allah, but tie your donkey. Otherwise, it would go. So we can do all the pious rantings and everything. But at the end of the day, it boils down to leadership. What type of leadership are you offering? The Bible asked somebody, I don't know, in which said, whose son are you? Identity is important. Identity is an important component of every human endeavor. So first of all, even before you assume leadership, you must tell us the identity of your leadership. What leadership are you offering? So that we have benchmarks to hold you on. Recently, the president held a press conference in the Castle. And then our own Shamima Muslim asked him that, Mr. President, what leadership have you been offering the Ghanaian people this past 3 years?
What type of leadership?
What type of leadership? That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And the president said, everybody heard him. He said, well, he doesn't know the type of leadership he's offering. You can call it whatever. Once he's providing boreholes and taking schools away from trees, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. That is why Nana Akufo-Addo says that I offer you, or I will come and offer the Ghanaian people transformational leadership. Okay, what does transformational leadership mean? Transformational leadership means challenging existing structures, existing societal structures. You see, as a person of religion, I'll take it to religion so you can understand.
Certainly.
There is this scholar called David Tracy who talks about what he calls the hermeneutics of hope. That, look, if you are running a system, okay, if you are conducting your religious life or the life of your society based on a certain understanding of your religious text or principles, and for years there's no qualitative change or improvement in your life, what it means is that you have to seek a reinterpretation of the scriptures that you live by.
Okay. If you want change.
Yes, that is if you want change. And that is what Akufo-Addo is basically saying when he talks about the structural transformation of the Ghanaian society and economy. It means that, look, we've been doing this something all this while, over 55 years. He says, the way, therefore, to go is to challenge our existing interpretations of what we call development. Okay?
Yes.
And to bring a new transformation, a new interpretation to these development paradigms that will structurally, because the word structure, when he talks about structural transformation, it's important that the structures that we have in place that determine the mode of our economic progression and educational progression and health and so on and so forth is the reason we are where we are. So unless you dramatically do something about it, look, YB, I don't know whether anybody is impressed with political discourse in this country. You're listening to both of us, I mean MPP and NDC, and then we are forced to be doing the things that we are doing. Setting the record straight and vigilante against propaganda. And all we are doing is saying, oh, we built 6 classrooms, you built 7. Oh, we built 10 boreholes, you built. Those are good things that somehow improve their life. But will those things structurally
change the lives of the people?
Yes, will it shake the foundations of our society and bring about a reawakening? You get the point? You know, President Rawlings says this country needs a reawakening.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because the way things are going, it's simply not working. That's what Nana Akufo-Addo means by transformational leadership. You get the point? And that is why he says, look, we can become a first world country in a generation. That's a transformational leader, a generational thinker, somebody who is thinking beyond himself right now. So that is why he talks about the senior high school concept, for example, that it ought to be free. Why? Because when you do that, everybody say yes, it would lead to an increase in the numbers of people who would go to school. Of course, that is the aim.
Yes, exactly.
Of course, that is the aim. The aim is to ensure that 100% of our people can read and write in 30 years' time. That's what, perhaps in 30 years, Akufo-Addo may not be living. I don't know. But it means that he's not just thinking about himself. He's thinking about 30 years from now. where we would be. We're
The
talking about
21st century
Malaysia, we're talking about Korea, we are talking about Singapore and the rest of them. The reason they have made it to first world status is because they have wiped out illiteracy. The politicians in the NDC need to read Lee Kuan Yew's book, From Third World to First World, to the extent that there was a time Lee Kuan Yew dictated that only educated couples should marry. Because he said, look, science had shown that two intelligent people, you know, it was basically genetically impossible for them to give birth to somebody who would be perhaps dumb or something of that sort. So he said, look, we wanted this generation of children who are going to be born between now and 5 years to be the ones to lead the Singaporean revolution in the next 30 years, 20 years, when they are the young boys in their prime. You know, that is how visionary leaders...
Education was engineered.
So it was engineered. That's the point I'm making. It was engineered. Look, so I want to appeal directly to the Ghanaian people that we ought, as a people, to do a sober reflection of our politics and look beyond the rhetorics and look beyond, I don't like Mustafa Hamid's nose or I don't like his ginger hair. My ginger hair is not the matter. The matter is the poverty of our people, the ignorance of our people, the disease of our people. Which leader is speaking to the hearts of these matters? That is what is matters. That is what Akufo-Addo is speaking to. And I think that the Ghanaian people ought to listen in 2012, give him an opportunity. You know, there can people say that Usia Nsiona Usia Nsana Uhunde Modro.
Yes.
What you say?
Yes.
We carried the NDC before.
Oh,
we carried
many
the
years.
NPP. Now we are carrying them again. And we are asking the basic question. 35 billion cedis, Ghana cedis in 3 years. President Kufuor, 34 billion in 8 years. Show us where your 35 billion. As we speak, workers are going to go to the Easter without salaries.
Again,
As we speak, yes.
it happened at Christmas.
Yes, I'm on government payroll. I haven't received a salary as I speak with you. I'm not going to get it anytime this week nor next week. Nobody knows where money is going to come from. Basic salary, that is what it has come to. That now government cannot pay salaries of people.
So where is the money?
Oh, Massa.
The high taxes, the revenues from the high exports. They are using it all to show up the artificial CD stability.
You know, so, yeah, because that is another propaganda tool that ought to be attacked. YB.
Maybe I should take our first break at this point and come back to that.
Yes.
We'll take our first break, and you can sense already the passion in the MPP campaign. This is a transformational opportunity, and we expect Ghanaians to get on board. Mustafa, you were there in 2008. Of course, we've heard all the naysayers. Oh, he's not the MPP. Oh, longevity. Oh, we voted for Nana because Nana himself has tradition in the party. Oh, he may be too young. He looks a little young, but he's not that young, see. And, you know, all the naysayers. But he must have something. Because not only did he get the nomination in 2008, he has gotten the nomination again, which, to borrow the NDC's word, is unprecedented.
Absolutely.
On both sides of the divide in Ghana. Nobody has ever gone in there except on the winning team and been renominated. What is it? What happened in 2008? What is the driving force behind the Bawumia?
Again, YB, it boils down to the question of leadership. You see, in politics, it is leadership first, leadership second, leadership third. And leadership is one, about choices. Two, is about the passion and the strategy to drive those choices. Okay, I'll explain that.
Yes.
I just said in the first part of our discussion that Nana Addo says he wants to offer this country what he calls transformational leadership, a fundamental change in the structure of our society in terms of the way we do economics, export, import-based country to one...
Moving the Gajisberg economy into the 21st century. Value
that
addition.
sort of thing. And then also in terms of education, to be able to ensure that in the next 30 years, we have a generation of educated people who are inside, in the middle of societal discourse, not living on the periphery. Do you get the point?
Critical mass to drive.
Yes.
The
you know,
process.
there is this famous Brazilian scholar called Paulo Freire. He's written a book called The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Okay, YB, everybody needs to read this one. You know, what we are doing to our people is violence. What we are doing to them, the poverty that we inflict on our people is what is called violence.
Because we don't get them to believe that they can break out.
Thank you. Thank you. You get the point. And for them, so I'm talking to the marginalized of our society this evening and saying it to them that the people who come to them in the villages and so on and tell them that they should be content with their lot, that they can't get an education, that Nana Akufo-Addo's education vision is utopia, and so on and so forth, are keen to keep them suppressed and oppressed. The way they can break out of that, Paulo Freire gives them the tool. It's education, it's knowledge. That's why there's a common saying, even JSS students say it every day, knowledge is power. Have we stopped to examine what we mean by knowledge is power? Do you get the point? Knowledge is the tool. First of all, it is a tool for the transformation of society. It is the tool that makes you aware. Socrates said, man, know thyself. If you don't have knowledge, you won't even know yourself in the first place. It is not for nothing, for those of us who are Muslims, that the first verse of the Quran to be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad commanded him, read.
Read.
Yes, that's the first word. It says, read. And then Muhammad said, you know, the Prophet Muhammad was unlettered. And he told the angel Jibril, I cannot read. The angel said, read. He said, I cannot read. The third time the angel said, read. Read in the name of thy Lord who created. He created man from a clot of congealed blood. Read, and your Lord is most merciful. He taught man by the pen. He taught man that which he did not know. Quran 96, verse 1 to 5. So the whole Islamic edifice is built on the need for the acquisition of knowledge. Today, go around our Muslim countries, societies, communities, etc. What is the lot of our people? And I speak passionately about it. Ignorance, disease, squalor, and so on. So we have a leadership that is now saying, let's go back to the essence of your being as a Muslim, which is to seek knowledge. I will make it available to you. And we say that we don't want.
And it's a choice.
It doesn't have to be a choice.
That leader. No, it's a choice of that leader to bring that expansion.
Thank you.
To the people.
To the people, that awareness to the people. And the Prophet Muhammad said, knowledge is the lost property of every believer. Let him seek it wherever he will find it. What is the business of a state? The business of a state and of government is to make this possible, is to facilitate, is to create the opportunity. That's when Anado talks, say, under his transformational leader, he talks about creating a society of opportunities. Yes. That's the business of government. You are supposed to create the opportunities that would allow people to blossom, people to engage their energies. And the basic opportunity that you can give a people in the 21st century is knowledge. Amazing. Without it, we are lost. So we don't have a choice. It's not as if it is a choice, it's a luxury. It is an imperative. We ought to do it. And as I said, leadership is about choices. In 3 years, you've paid judgment debts of over 600 million. Okay? And then you tell us that, oh, we require 150 million to 250 million every year to ensure that everybody's child can go to school. And you say that that is too much, but you can give that money to a few people within our society for no justifiable reason. It's difficult for me to fathom the logic behind that reasoning that says that it's okay for us to be subservient. Uganda is offering education free up to senior high school. Why? Uganda has they have more population than us. Meanwhile, they don't have the kinds of resources that we have. Sri Lanka, that has been battling, that has been at war for nearly 20 years, battling Tamil Tigers, a destabilized society like that, has achieved 97% literacy as we speak because education in Sri Lanka is free. Access. That is what is important. Do you get a point, YB? Now, so therefore, Nanado has this vision. Okay, and what will drive this vision is the proper management of the economy. You get the point? Because you need to manage the economy properly, get it expanded, get more resources into the kitty, so you can have more money to dedicate to education.
That's right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So Nanado, if he was a selfish leader, okay, would behave like all of us want him to behave. Go and take a politician, somebody who can speak, who has a glib tongue like you.
Yeah. Mustafa, thank you.
You remember you taught me student leadership in Nooks, you know, and so on. But he says, should the destiny of our country be reduced to politicking?
No.
No. it should go beyond that to offering the people proper alternative, credible, palpable, examinable, believable objectives. And the one that offers us those objectives is Bawumia. Okay. Do you get the point? Yeah. Because, you know, people have made the other argument that, oh, why? Nana Addo can go ahead and win the presidency and make him a finance minister.
Or governor of the bank.
But again, let me come back, because I'll keep hammering on leadership. Nana Addo wants to be able to drive the economic transformation process, the structural transformation process from inside the presidency, not from a ministry. You see, if you are a leader, you ought to be seen to be in charge. You see, now, even the NDC and its founder are fighting because they say the president is not in charge. Okay? So, if you are the president, the buck stops with you. The buck stops at the presidency. That's where the buck stops, not at a ministry. So Nana Addo wants, with the choice of Bawumia, to signify that I am ready to lead. You get the point?
Yes.
I am ready to hit the ground running.
From the front.
From the front. You want to lead from the front, not the one that Mills hit the ground running in 2009 and broke a few ligaments. And then
fell down.
In December 2011, he was still saying, we are ready to hit the ground running. This is a statement you made in 2009. You are saying, so from 2009, he hasn't hit the ground running.
No.
We don't want to do that. We want from day one, when we set foot in that office, to be able to signal to the Ghanaian people that we are ready to drive the agenda, that we are the ones in control. The presidency is in control of the development agenda. So that's what Bawumia answers.
Okay.
Do you get the point?
Yes.
And that's very critical for people to appreciate.
Okay.
Number two is that Nana Addo believes that we must give young people an opportunity. Somebody who is looking to get Ghana into first world status in the next 30 years. Who are the ones going to do it? It is those of us who are in the age brackets of between 20 to about 40.
That's right.
We are the ones to whom the future belongs. Do you get the point?
Yes.
So Bawumia, falling within that age bracket, wants him to be part of that challenge of creating a society for his generation in the next few years. Right. And you know Nana Addo, he has this penchant for grooming young people and believing in them. It is that belief in young people that has produced Yoni Kulendi. That belief in young people has produced Jogati. That belief in young people has produced Esla Ousu. That belief in young people has produced Atachia. That belief in young people has produced Sofia Kufu of the Supreme Court. That belief in young people has produced Kwame Akufu. That belief in young people is the reason why yours truly is sitting here in the first place.
And I believe I'm also interviewing you.
Thank you. That belief is the reason I am here and speaking for him.
Yes.
Do you get the point that
His
I'm trying to?
primaries was run virtually by young people.
So this guy, and when I say guy, I mean Akufo-Addo,
of course,
has young people at heart. And he wants us to move away from the conservative African mentality that believes that wisdom necessarily resides in the head of young people. So he wants Bawumia to be a showcase for us young people to be motivated to learn. And I have seen a lot of young people in the past few days who are like, when they take Bawumia's CV, are like, wow, we can also make it.
Amazing.
At the age of 45 years,
amazing.
Look at the CV that the young man has. Now he's 49. At 49, look at his CV.
Amazing.
Do you get the point? So we need to set a certain example for the young people of our country to know that they can do it.
Yes.
That's number two. Do you get the point?
Yes.
Number three is that a vice president is basically somebody that you can leave your property in his hands and either go to sleep or travel or whatever and be sure that the property will be well taken care of. You see, right now there are a few people also with us in this studio. But if you were not here, if I was going to go and visit the loo, I would perhaps take my property and put it in my armpit because I don't know these people too well to be able to trust them with my property. Do you get the point? But if you are here, I'll say, oh, YB, I'm going to the loo and I would leave this here with you.
Yes.
Do you get the point?
That's right.
That is what a president and a vice president do. When the president is not there, he virtually leaves the country in the care of the vice president.
So that's
you
compatibility.
need, absolutely, you need somebody that you know and you can trust, and you trust the fellow's intellect, his ability, his acumen. Because we have a history. President Rawlings and Vice President Akka, we saw what happened. Fisticuffs in the cabinet and so on and so forth. Nana Addo is keen to avoid that situation. And he believes that this young man is somebody that he can confidently leave this country in his hands if he has to travel outside of this country for some other business. People are talking about, okay.
Let's take number 4 after our second break. I'm fascinated. You can see that this is the spokesperson for Nana Addo. Cut in the same mold as Bawumia. It's going to be fireworks. Now, Mustafa, you talked about, you've arrived at 3 points. You're saying that a transformational push from the front motivated Nana. Yeah. You talked about the youth and the identification, and then you talked about compatibility. Yes. And you were in full flight, and I had to cut you off.
Yes. And then, not least, is what we all know. I mean, identifying the, if you want, the beauty and blend of how our nation is constituted. Yes. You know, Aristotle says that a nation is not an alliance. You know, when he says that a nation is not an alliance, it means that it is not an aggregate of like-minded people. Yeah. You get the point. It is an aggregate of people of diverse ethnicities, persuasions, and so on and so forth. And a leader is somebody who is able to take this concept, this natural human concept, and be able to blend it into a beautiful symmetry.
That's right.
Do you get the point? So you cannot trivialize the fact that that part of our country, from where I come, okay, has, if you want, has been lagging behind the South in terms of its economic development, in terms of the education of its people. You know, the other time when I delivered the Ferdinand Ayim Memorial Lectures, I gave statistics about Dagbon that frightened so many people, that you have illiteracy rates as high as 80.3% in some districts, 79.3% in some districts. I mean, it doesn't go below 79. Even Tamale municipality is there's 55. I think the illiteracy rate is about 55%. You get the point? So that part of our country is indeed marginalized in fact and in theory. Do you get the point? And that is why in 2008, Nana Addo said that he was going to set up the Northern Development Fund that was going to be able to take care of that part of our country and be able to bridge that gap. These people initially poo-pooed the idea, said that if we had 1 billion Ghana cedis to put in the north, we should use it to pay telecoms debts. That's what the current vice president said at the time.
And now they are setting the record straight.
And then later on, when they realized that the Northern Development Authority, NDA, idea was catching up in the north, they quickly went, stole it, truncated it, and called it SADA. Now we can see the result of that. If you are not original, you are not original. The photocopy is not like the original and cannot be like the original. We have the NDA blueprint. And I'm looking my northern brothers in the eye and telling them that, look, give us an opportunity. We will do it differently because it was our vision originally. 25th July 2008, Professor Sagari Noko, he was then the pro-vice chancellor of UDS. Now he's the vice chancellor or is a rector for Wisconsin University in Accra. You can ask him. Can people say that Trofo no sin Adansini? This is our Adansini. He lives. The University for Development Study invited all the political parties in 2008 to come and tell us what they would do for northern development if they were voted into power. The NDC refused flat to be part of that program. Upon promptings, they refused flat. They said it didn't matter. We finally had to go and do it alone. 25th July 2008 at the Tamale campus of the University for Development Studies. So it is we who have the original idea of how we should be able to transform the North moving forward. Once you set aside and you steal the idea, it won't be like the original. Do you get the point? Yeah. Now, Nana Addo told me in 2008, said, Mustafa, if there would be a major trouble in our country, it will likely be triggered by poverty, disease, and ignorance. You know, Bob Marley said that a hungry man is an angry man. So intolerance has economic dimensions. You get the point. All the conflicts that we have in the north and so on is because young men are sitting idle and have nothing to do. Now, young men who are busy progressing their lives, engage in professions and so on, would protect
they will not fight
what they
will
have.
Protect what
Beautiful.
they have.
So Nanado says, therefore, we need, whatever the situation is, to pick a running mate from that part of the country so that we will factor the north seriously, and the emphasis here is seriously, into the political equation of our country, into the political discourse of our country, so we can move forward. Do you get the point?
Yeah.
The last point, it's not as if, oh, he wants Muslim votes. In 1954, when Muslims in this country formed the Muslim Association Party, okay, and then gave Dr. Nkrumah a lot of trouble. And then Dr. Nkrumah decided then to pass what they call the avoidance of discrimination law that outlawed political parties based on ethnicities and religion. What did the Muslim Association Party do? It aligned with those of the UP persuasion to form the United Party, because at that time, Afar Ladan, who was the leader of the Muslim Association Party in Kumasi, said that it is the UP tradition that has the interest of Muslims.
He was deported for his troubles.
Absolutely. You get the point. So the point is that it is simply recognizing the antecedents of the UP tradition. You get the point. You can call it an Operation Restore.
So if you get the Muslim Association from down south and the Northern People's Party from the upper west, then basically the base of the UP.
Of Northern Muslim, it has always been us. You get the point. In 79, it happened, even though we were split. The UNC had a Muslim running mate, the Popular Front Party had a Muslim running mate, and so on. So it is part of our nature to be considerate of the religious persuasions and the ethnic persuasions in our country, because that is the way to keep everybody involved and not let people feel that they are in the periphery of national development. That can give vent to frustration. And then when frustration bats out, we know what it causes. Do you get the point?
Mustafa, does Dr. Bawumia have the respect of the MPP? What is his effect within the MPP?
He does. You see, there are various, when people do this kind of discourse, I said then we haven't analyzed the nature of membership of political parties. In political parties, there are those that we call sympathizers.
Okay.
There are those that we call supporters. Then there are those that we call members. You get the point? There are people who are supporting political parties in ways that you and I cannot imagine, and perhaps would not even have the courage to do. But because you and I are in the front line, everybody thinks that, oh, then MPP must be Hamid or MPP must be YB. As we speak, there are people who perhaps are congregated under a tree in Bumpurugu Yuyo and talking about the well-being of MPP. Do you know them?
No.
You don't. The General Secretary doesn't know them.
No.
The National Chairman doesn't know them.
At all.
Absolutely. Because politics is done because of is effective because of the aggregate contribution of everybody. Yes. Minor and major. Yes. And the way that political parties are driven in the 21st century is ideology. Bawumia has always been liberal. He has always been economically liberal-minded because he's an economist. And you can see the book that he's written, his contributions during when he was at Bank of Ghana, and so on and so forth. So, and everybody knows that anybody who is inclined to liberal economics must be an MPP sympathizer or supporter. It cannot be otherwise. Do you get the point? So
the whole segment of society who have something to protect will be interested in Bawumia.
Yeah. So I am putting it to you that Bawumia has been MPP in the roots of his being. Do you get the point? So the assertion that it's not been MPP is not correct.
By virtue of his ideological inclination.
Absolutely. That's why I even say the root of his being, because as they come out say, the liberal mindedness and liberal thinking and liberal politics and liberal economics is in him. Do you get the point? Yes. So when Nana Addo is looking for somebody of that persuasion to be able to help him drive his liberal economic agenda for the 21st century, of course it has to be Bawumia.
Amazing. Of course it has to be Bawumia. The man is root, branch, intestine, and kidney MPP. Mustafa, what will be the in Ghanaian political parlance, the bread and butter issues for this election? Now, it's fashionable to say it's going to be an issues election.
Yes. Now, I am happy because even this issue about setting the record straight and vigilante against propaganda and lies shows that at least for once we are agreeing to battle each other
on the issues.
Okay. So for me, it's fine. It's healthy.
Yes.
Okay. And I would pray that it stays like that. But you see, this election is a referendum on the NDC. That's all. That's what it's about. It's a referendum on the NDC. Have they performed or have they not performed? Okay. And the only way we are going to be able to tell whether they have performed or not is to take them by their own criteria. Excellent. What they said they were going to do. Yeah. I'll read quickly. They said, this is their manifesto. This is from page 24 onwards. They said,
which you have the version.
Yes. Oh, I've quoted. You know, I'm a scholar, so when I do page and this that.
Okay. So what's get ready to do? I wouldn't already on the line. Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. This is Adam Ahmed calling from Wa.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much, Yao, and then your able panelist Mustafa Hamid. Really, he has made my day. I don't even know what to even say. We need people like Mustafa Hamid to come and educate us. He has really touched the heart of many. And then I'm encouraging him and then the like of him to come on board so that they will educate the electorate so that in 2012, victory shall be ours. We need people that have got a vision. We need people that will come and change the status quo so that Ghana will be the benefactor. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Kumasi. Hello.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Mustafa Hamid is a very good contributor. Yeah,
you have enjoyed it, huh?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Mustafa Hamid is a very good contributor. Always bring him to the studio so that he can enlighten us and give more facts to people. You see, your program is interesting today. So bring him always on the program so that he can feel good.
Thank you. No, are you there?
Yes, I'm still there.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Good evening. Please, I would like the minority caucus to try and bring some 3 people to the studio. Number one, Nana Bawumia, the General Secretary and the presidential candidate himself, because this program is watching worldwide. So that the 3 of them, they are those we are looking forward to see in NPP. So they should be bringing them once in a while, so that we know more about NPP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mustafa.
Yes. So I was saying that by their benchmarks, they say by the end of our first term
of office. Hello, I'm sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please, this Abdullah.
Yes, sir.
From Chiloponi.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I want to congratulate Ahmed for that. May he live long.
Amen.
To continue to contribute to MPP for Victory 2012.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too. Inshallah, to your sentiments. Yes,
so,
sir.
We would have, by the end of our first term in office, fielded a government based on competence, efficiency, and merit, whose members worked as a coherent team and abided by the principles of service with integrity and humility, achieved significantly measurable improvements in the delivery of quality health and quality education, affordable by the people and accessible to the people, provided enough vocational institutes to absorb JSS graduates who do not gain admission into SSS or technical schools.
One moment. Opoku is in Konongo. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Bawumia. It's nice time meeting you because I've been trying to reach you.
Oh.
But, I thank God that I have met you.
Okay.
The problem we those down here are anticipating is, when are you going to get down to the village? This year is a clear opportunity for us. NDC has failed. We want you to move down to the villages and get people, get to know the policies that I have for the country. Please, one thing I want to know is that NDC has promised to pay teachers arrears, spreading it 3 months, in 7 months installment. They paid October, they paid December, February, March. They have not paid. Those who got it, they got deductions. Some didn't get. As I speak to you, I didn't get mine. People are suffering. These people are using propaganda. Please come down and educate Ghanaians because this is a clear opportunity for us. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you so much, Raman.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Raman speaking from Techima. Let me first greet Honorable Mustafa Hamid. And then when you come to Techima parliamentary candidate, Honorable Prince Yaudinina Uyakwe. What I'm saying that there is a saying that what God has yoked together can never ascend. Actually, Nana Akufo-Addo will be the president of Ghana. Consider what every single Ghanaian is passing through, especially the hardship. Mustafa, really, true. Some of you are needed to come always educated, probably with their notness, because now when you are to compare the vice president of ruling government and then Bawumia, you can see that they are far different because it's only NPP party that you find this beautiful and also balanced combination in the party, because as a Muslim, as I'm speaking, I'm a Muslim, and I really prefer like the combination of a Christian and then Muslim in the party, because this always be happening only NPP party. We like that, and we support Bawumia to win.
Thank you. Salisu. Yeah. Yandy.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, y'all.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure listening to you guys this evening. I'm so impressed by Mustafa's performance. He has really articulated, and we hope you have to bring him on board so that we really enjoy things about him. I think the choice of Bawumia as Nanado's running mate is a very perfect choice. And that's the case, inshallah, on the 7th of January 2013, they shall be sworn in by the Chief Justice, Georgina Tudora. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm actually impressed this evening. I'm calling from Nadoli West constituency, Dublin area.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an MPP supporter, a very great one there. And I'm actually trying to give you an information that we need someone like Ahmed to come to our area. We need him there to educate us a lot. And also, we are underground. We are going to the communities, and I'm sure that no matter the situation, Nana is going to get a lot.
Inshallah.
And our MP there, Dr. Boy Bandi, is also doing well, and I hope you get a lot. So more grease to your elbows. Mr. YB, I'm impressed about you. Keep it up. And I'm
Thank you.
God bless you all.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful to you. Mustafa, hit it.
So the point I am making is that if you look at the benchmarks that they have set for themselves, they talked about making agriculture grow and so on, but agriculture is growing in the negative. Do you get the point? They said that corruption will be punished and probity. Have you seen any conscious effort to retrieve our money from Bawumia? They are not interested. They are not interested. Today they've gone and called the former chief of staff to go and have an interaction. Over what? They are scratching the surface of the matter. We want the president of Ghana, Professor John Evans Atta Mills, to show leadership, to show that he's in control, take the bull by the horn, and then let us see a palpable manifestation of practical will to protect the people's purse. Now what is going on? Nobody believes that they are interested in doing anything to protect the public purse. There's massive corruption in the system. This government is the most corrupt that Ghana has ever had since independence. and then their founder himself is very embarrassed to even be able to associate with them. That should tell the Ghanaian people. They've been talking about Nana Akufo-Addo left and right. Have you ever heard them say that Nana Akufo-Addo is corrupt? This is the minister who never drew a bottle of fuel from government sources when he was minister for the whole 7 years that he was minister. Would you believe that? I am telling you that this is the minister who paid his security from his own pocket, not state security. State security didn't protect Akufo-Addo. You get the point? So this is somebody who shows that even the spirit of sacrifice is an integral part of leadership. I am believing in God and believing that Nana Addo is a very sincere, dedicated person to the cause of our country. Look, it is not mean achievement that at the age of 33, Nana Addo was in a movement that involved the Oketechie, Free Fairs, and all these Obeda Samuels, the Gbedemes, the creme de la creme of Ghanaian politics. At that time, identified this young 33-year-old boy and said, come and be amongst us as our general secretary to fight against graft, against oppression and suppression. That boy must have something in him. And I'm begging the Ghanaian people that let us look objectively at the array of people who are parading and see who has shown leadership in their lives. Even for those of us who are academic, the way they are able to tell that you are a good academic is when you have been able to groom people to replace yourself. Look at the legal landscape of our country and see how many people that Nana Addo has trained. Read the law books. All the students who go to law school will tell you. You would hardly do a topic and not read a case that was done by Nana Akufo-Addo. This is a man who has shown achievement. Look, Nana Addo doesn't want to be president because he wants a name. The Akufo-Addo name is already a household name. It is in our history books. We can't wish it away. So it is not Akufo-Addo who is looking for a name for the Akufo-Addo name. No. So name is not the matter. Number two, he's not in this business for money. Everybody knows what a successful lawyer he was. This is a man who speaks fluent French. Do you get the point? In this 21st century, you will need this type of president when we are surrounded by all these French countries. You think Nana Addo is going to go and be talking security matters with the president of Togo or Cote d'Ivoire or Burkina, and then you need an interpreter? Then where is the tete-a-tete? This is the man who chaired the Security Council of the United Nations, and in that sitting was able to bring peace between Israel and Lebanon. Please.
Well, this is the man who speaks for that man. And it speaks for itself. Indeed, I am overwhelmed in the studio, and I believe at home you are invited to be objective, to select the leader that will transform this country, not because he himself wants glory, but because this nation is due for transformation. We must use democracy to improve our people. We can't use democracy to continue to inflict violence on our people and tell them that they cannot be what they deserve. It's been Minority Caucus. I've been speaking to Mustafa Hamid, and indeed, tonight he has demonstrated to us the Bawumia effect on national politics.